I feel like I've seen this match 70 times, and every time I see it, I forget what happens in different parts. And I'm always, what's the opposite of pleasantly surprised? Like terrified.
Sometimes in wrestling, things just go wrong in the ring. And this statement is true for the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan at Halloween Havoc 1998. It is a beautiful train wreck. It is so horrible, but you just can't look away.
So Papa Shango's Curse of the Ultimate Warrior might have terrified me as a 7-year-old, but this rewatch just put shivers down my near 40-year-old spine, dude. So kick us off.
So the beginning of this promo has a graphic of Hogan looking around and is then covered up with an infrared warrior. And we cut to Hogan and Warrior in the ring together. There are cutaway highlights of both of them. And the most notable thing being Hulk seeing the Warrior in the mirror scene.
Isn't that just an all-time, what in the world are we thinking, dude? And what's so good is that they don't even give context. It's just that really quick clip of Hulk looking up in the mirror, and then there's the Warrior behind him. That's all I needed to see. And to be honest, that's all it should have been on television. So this card is absolutely stacked whenever they do the quick rundown here. And there are so many people in this building. The set's incredible. This feels like this show is going to be epic, like right from the get-go, man. And boy, is it ever. So we cut right from Sting getting taken out in an ambulance to the OG NWO song on the network on Peacock. And man, this is great. I'm never going to complain about that NWO song. But what I wouldn't do to see Hulk come out here chopping down with the edge of my hand. You know what I'm saying? I miss it.
Oh, if we could just get Voodoo Child just one time. They'll never do it because they'll never pay the rights for it, but
No, never ever.
so good. And Hogan comes out with the big fluffy boas, and it's just so great. But his entrance is so great, but it's completely overshadowed by the crowd signs. There's
Mm-hmm.
good. There's
Yep.
multiple crowd signs throughout his entrance that are just absolutely killer.
Right. And one that you would never be able to show in 2024, and the camera just sits on it for what feels like 45 seconds. And it is something else, man.
It literally goes down each bullet point. It is
Yep.
you'd never get away with that today.
No, no, and none of the maybe some of them we could kind of show on the screen, but yeah, dude, that ain't happening. So then Hulk starts to pose, and he just starts talking to the camera. I'm the man, brother. I'm gonna break him down, brother. And he's making his way down the aisle, and he has said dozens of words from his first pose until the ring steps. But literally, all I could make out after those first two little clips were brother over and over again. He's just saying words, blah, 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 but brother over and over and over again, man. And it is excellent. So then we cut to a highlight of Hulk bashing in Horace in the head with a chair the week before. And they show this because it's supposed to show what Hulk is willing to do to get to the Warrior to win a match or whatever it is.
And Horace is his shoot nephew, correct?
Yes. Yes.
It's who you know in the biz, brother.
And I'll tell you what, man, you want to talk about foreshadowing. I feel like I've seen this match 70 times, and every time I see it, I forget what happens in different parts. And I'm always, what's the opposite of pleasantly surprised? Like terrified.
My God, do I love this match. And we watched it so you didn't have to.
Exactly.
And Warrior, whenever he comes out, it's just absolutely incredible gear. That duster is just so all time. And it's an even better figure. It's literally right over here on the shelf. Like it's beautiful. And he just starts sprinting to the ring as soon as that pyro hits. And I got chills, man. I got me some mongoose bumps, if you will.
About that, and I'm glad that you brought it up. He bends down when he comes out like he's supposed to summon the pyro,
Yes.
and nothing happens. And it's like one of those one Mississippi, two Mississippi, and then he just goes it and then takes off to the ring. And then the pyro hits, And so, like, if that isn't a harbinger of what's to come, man, because we were a little, I'm assuming again that he was supposed to summon the lightning. It didn't happen. He took off anyways. And yeah, here we go.
What is WCW's obsession with the lightning pyro? Because they did it for Hogan's entrance, and then they turned around and did it for Warrior's entrance. They did it for Sting. They did it for everything. It seems like
Yeah, it was just part of the special effects there, man. Whoever their big production guy was had to be a Storm fan.
was lightning
It,
over
it-
98.
you know what? They were at Sturgis. We see a lot of lightning with the hogs and all that stuff. I don't know, man. Maybe it just goes with the theme. I didn't know if like the lightning strikes were original audio from that show or if those were dubbed over from something else that might have been. But I hope that they were, man. That all that thunder, lightning, crack, I loved all of it. I did.
Yeah. So before we even get started, Hogan takes the powder. He starts yelling, "This guy's out of his mind." And then I'm pretty sure he says, "I'm going to kill this guy." Like it's just nothing. He just keeps saying it over and over again. And it just made me pop every time. I couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah, he's parading around outside, and he's still. This boa is the fluffiest feather boa that you ever saw. Like it literally looks like one of Billy Corgan's scarves wrapped around his neck in boa form. So, so, so Hulk unboas, and the Warriors in the ring with the duster still on. And Shivani calls this the match of the decade. And Hulk wants Warrior checked out, telling Nick Patrick, check him out, see what he got.
And here's your first problem with this match that happens because Warrior starts the match with the duster on. I hate that. If you're going to start a match, get your gimmicks off before the bell rings. I hate that. But Warrior just socks him and we hit the bell. We're off running.
So we lock up and Hogan gets some heat early and he starts off with the triple twisting arm bar. Gotta love it every single time, ripping that arm a little bit further from the shoulder socket. It's reversed by Warrior. Hulk sells it like his arm's about to be twisted off. So then he takes himself a powder. His selling is outrageous here, by the way. He goes out to the front row and this guy in the front row is just giving Hulk the business. Hulk gathers himself and he's okay. It's time to give it another go, brother. Like you can see him giving the pep talk there. Shivani's talking about Hulk's demons, and he says that the loss of the Warriors one that he's never been able to exercise. Again, more of what's to come, I suppose.
And I guess the worst part about it for me on Warrior's end is that he's selling like it's 1990. And we're in the heart of the Attitude Era where this is supposed to be like as real as it could possibly be. It sticks out like a sore thumb. I could not get over it. That was one of the major things I noticed about this match. That's number two. That's strike two for me.
Yeah, and they seriously tried to almost run it back, but it was too late and it passed them by. And they were also 8 years older. And it showed, they weren't as athletic as they were back then, and they looked great, but yeah, man, this was a miss. But we have the Warrior, speaking of old school spots. The Warrior's now begging for a test of strength, and so am I at this point in time.
Oh, you know me. If you're a listener here of Called in the Ring, you know that I love me a test of strength, and I started melting at this.
They lock back up, man. Hogan muscles him into the corner, and he just wails on him, punches, knees, chokes, boots, even gets a little bit of joint manipulation in there. And now we're in the test of strength. Hulk had to soften him up a little bit first.
This test of strength was so long. The camera work in the beginning was quite questionable for some memes. But after like 2 minutes, the crowd started to boo. And this had to be, listen, I love me a test of strength. But at one point I was like, all right, like, can we move it along here a little bit? It was the longest test of strength I think I've ever seen. As glorious as it was just a little too long.
Yeah, well, the test of strength has a formula, right? It's they both go in. It could be the baby face that wants it, or it could be the heel, doesn't matter. And the heel overpowers, the baby face powers up, the baby face reverses it. And then as the baby face is about to strike down the heels to the ground, they get kicked in the gut, something cut off. That's all you got to do, man. And this one, Hulk is screaming, "Who's the man?" over and over again while the Warrior's down on a knee. Warrior, while on that knee, starts the comeback in the test of strength, and his hands are like this. But the problem is, even though his hands are like this, completely in a position where there is nothing to be exerted on Hulk except sheer maybe pinching the pressure points on his hands, Hulk is screaming the whole time. So Hulk immediately then cuts him off once he starts a little bit of a comeback while he's still on the ground. Hulk starts screaming again. Warrior tries to psych himself up. He gets back up, and now we're twisting arms again.
This like crisscross hitting the ropes, that oh, that warmed my heart. It sent me to the moon though, because Warrior is blazing through them, and Hogan, he literally can barely do it. It's insanity how old Hogan looked in this match.
Right. And just as we said, I love the old school spots. You love the old school spots, but they're not playing in 1998. We're losing the crowd. They look very bad doing them, but that doesn't mean that I didn't explode once they started hitting a crisscross, man. Like literally to go from test of strength into a crisscross, I was just like, oh my God, dude, did Chief Wahoo McDaniel lay this match out? Like, what's going on here? So even Shivani, he's like, we haven't seen this for a long time. Like he made note of that we're doing stuff that has not been done in nearly a decade. So the crisscross turns into a body slam by Hulk. Warrior no sells it, gets up, picks up Hulk, gives him a body slam of his own. Hulk then is taken to the outside with a big time clothesline.
Warrior is just gyrating for a clothesline. What is he doing on the ropes?
He's doing the only thing he knows how to do, brother. That's just it.
It's so bad.
Yeah, so he comes to the outside. He slams Hulk in the barricade. Hulk cuts him off with an eye rake. He goes to throw the Warrior in the post. Warrior blocks it, throws Hulk in, and dude, Hulk takes the move and sells it the way that I would if you tried to hit my head off of a ring post. It looked so, oh my gosh, we're filming this for, our backyard school project or whatever. So they come back inside and they're running the ropes again, and they are now struggling. So the Warrior hits the ground, and Hulk, blown up, running the ropes, Hulk has to clear the Warrior, and he does so with this little hop skip move and then nails Nick Patrick. So he has to reverse course a little bit. He then fake stumbles into the corner, which I did die at that, of him just fake stumbling in and just throwing a heavy knee into Nick Patrick to incapacitate him.
Hogan calls for the NWO to come out. Well, it's the big show.
Dude, he does that thing where he's moving his arms like he's running, but it's basically like a brisk walk. It took him so long to get to the ring, dude. Hogan had to knee Nick Patrick again. It was so long. The ref bump needed to keep kayfabe. The ref needed bumped again because it took so long to get to the ring.
The only thing that I wish that they would have done during Show's entrance is that Pyro would have been going off while he was running to the ring. And then Show barely, and I mean barely, got that leg up. Hogan had to duck his head down just to make it look good. And it didn't even look good then.
No, that boot took longer for him to deliver than it does me saying this entire sentence. It did. It took at least half a minute for him to get his leg the whole way up and then just plant that boot right into Hogan. Warrior hits the ropes. He clotheslines the Giant out. That bump actually did look really good. So it took Show forever to get to the ring, even longer to lift his leg up, but he did take a heck of a bump to the outside. So then ringside, we have the rest of Black and White coming out, and Stevie Ray goes full F this and doesn't even get onto the apron.
And then we get Vincent on the other side. He took the hardest bump I feel like he could have imaginably taken on the apron.
Pro's pro, man. So Warrior goes for a cover. Patrick's still down. Warrior's doing the thing where he's counting himself. Nothing's happening. He goes to check on Nick Patrick. Hulk gets up, delivers the back suplex. Patrick comes back to his senses. He knocks the Warrior down. Warrior kicks out at 2. And then Hogan just starts throwing more of those Fuji throat chops that I love.
And then Hogan started whipping Warrior with his weight belt. He goes to drop the elbow, and then Warrior starts pencil rolling. And I'm not joking. He pencil rolls back and forth in the ring and literally trips Hogan because Hogan's going for a kick, realizes that Warrior just went full preschool and just pencil rolled right into his feet and he fell over. I died.
He also rolls into Nick Patrick. And I thought that Nick Patrick blew an MCL. And Patrick's trying to no sell it because he wasn't ready for it. So he's doing that thing where he's taking a step and kind of shaking his leg. That's when I really was like, oh, dude, please tell me that Nick wasn't at the ortho the next day, getting scoped or whatever. So then Patrick, while he's trying to no sell this knee, is telling Hogan to knock it off with the belt or you're going to get DQ'd. But also, I did love that Tony called it a rolling block, the Warrior doing his pencil rolls. And Tenay's trying to sell it as if it was some sort of strategy. And so while he did take Hogan down, Warrior goes for the splash. Hogan moves, they trade blows, and now Hogan's down again.
And so now Warrior whips Hogan with the weight belt and then starts to argue with Nick Patrick.
Right. And Patrick's basically just begging Warrior not to get DQ'd. So Warrior, while the referee's saying, please don't, I got to disqualify you, takes the belt, rolls it around his fist, and decks Hogan in the face with the fist belt.
And Hogan totally no-sells the weapon. He just then he scurries over to the turnbuckle, hands on his knees, digs in his pants to reveal a sandwich baggie. Might as well have had paraphernalia in it.
Yeah, I absolutely wrote down Hulk goes to the corner and pulls paraphernalia out from his pants. I loved it. Heenan asked if it was spray paint.
Yes, he did. What?
Is that spray paint?
So Hogan is digging in this little sandwich baggie. He pulls out a lighter and he's literally trying to light something on fire. Warrior walks over. Hogan then attempts to throw whatever is in his hand in Warrior's face. It doesn't light, and then all of a sudden it lights. And so now Warrior has to double sell it, and it looked like Hogan burned his hands off. So he tried to throw fire in his face, and it didn't even work. It was a complete disaster.
Yeah, could you imagine how time stood still for Hulk there? We've all been there. Think about you're trying to get the firework lit on the 4th, and it's or the sparkler or whatever for your for the little kids, for the nieces and nephews that are around, and they're all standing around you, and you're going.
Yep.
And you're just like, come on. You're trying to get your hand over top. That literally was Hulk. And it probably was 7 seconds. And it had to feel like it was 5 hours, man. Like, oh, just total sundial time. And he's struggling. He finally gets it. And then, like you said, it goes off in his own face. And so then it goes from time stands still for Hulk to Warrior is now in charge of making a split decision of, do I sell this or not? So then I think handled it as best as he could, way better than he did the pencil roll spot. So Shivani's saying, was that a fireball? And Tenay goes, he tried to blind him. Hogan says he tried to burn the man. And Tony's now saying that it's how deep-rooted the hatred that these guys have for each other is. And so the announcers are seriously trying their best possible job to cover for this. And I do give them a lot of credit for it. I really do. Basically want us to believe that Hogan was foiled because he's the heel and it's part of the show. But God, it looked bad.
It looked so bad. So then Warrior kind of comes to his senses. He sees what's in the bag and he goes crazy. He's getting up on the top rope. He's like kicking it out into the ringside area, and he's going for this double axe handle. And then I realized this crowd is DEA dead. They are dead silent. Hogan now juices. He low blows Warrior, drops the leg. Then Warrior gets up whenever Hogan goes to drop the second one, and now Warrior's pumping up.
Yeah, did he juice, or was that a self-inflicted wound from flash paper, or was it the two top rope double axe handles that he took that just busted him open hard way? Because the same way that we talked about the majestic blade job that Sean did going to hit the cell. Yeah. I'm sitting here thinking, where was this blood even supposed to come from? Was it the hammer fist that hit you?
It had to have been the hammer fist. It had to have been.
Oh, God.
Hulk hits Warrior low. He gives the one leg drop. Horace Hogan now struts his ass down to the ring, and he's holding the chair. Hogan misses the second leg drop. Warrior is worrying up. Hogan is now bumping all over the place. Bischoff grabs Nick Patrick. Horace Hogan then hits Warrior over the back with a chair, and Hogan wins.
Yeah. And somehow all of that was legal. There's literally an attempted abduction of an official where Bischoff grabs him and begins to pull him to the outside. All that chair crack on Warrior's back sounded like a tree branch broke. You know what I'm saying? Like it was the loudest thing you ever heard. And then with after all that, Patrick, I guess, is the chumpany man here, just going along with the count because Easy writes the checks. After all that, dude, Hogan throws Patrick outside the ring like an empty beer can afterwards. Literally just disposes of him when they're done.
There's actual cheers. You could see people actually cheering what was happening with the Bischoff interference. I couldn't believe my eyes.
I think it was because something was happening that wasn't a spot from 1988.
That, that's actually true.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I got. So there's this Hoganly embrace with Hulk and Horace. And Heenan says that Horace has what looks like a zipper on the top of his bald head from all the stitches that Hulk just gave him days ago with the chair shot, but all is forgiven, man.
And then all of a sudden, Horace just pulls out lighter fluid and he just starts pouring it all over Warrior. Doug Dillinger comes out and breaks it up the attempted burning of Warrior's carcass. And Shivani can't believe what he's just seen as Hogan and Bischoff, they're just take a stroll to the back. Someone was about to be lit on fire in the ring and they're just walking casually back like, yep, business is done.
Yeah, well, our final shot here of Warrior is him just laying confused and sniffing himself in the middle of the ring. And that's literally the exact same thing I was doing in my living room when this match was over. I was laying in the fetal position in the middle of the floor, just sniffing myself, wondering what happened and am I going to be okay?
There's just so much that happened in this match. It literally started poorly. That chair shot sounded like louder than the lightning cracking for the pyro. It was so loud because it was so silent in there. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. And if you think about it really quick, just off the top of my head, we had a pyro botch. We had the roll around spot. We had the terrible post shot. We had the fire. We had all of this stuff, man. It was just 10, 12, 13 minutes. I don't know what the actual runtime of it was. It felt like 45, but in reality, I know that the match itself didn't go overly long. And my God, man, you want to talk about just snake bitten from the beginning. This was something else.
With full entrances and the full angle afterwards, it's like 23 minutes. What do you say about this match? What do you give in this match? Because it is, like you said, it starts poorly, it ends even worse.
My scale with things that are bad is interesting because I like awesome bad.
Yeah.
But this was just bad. Like in the way that Dave Meltzer would rate the that Bushwhacker and Men on a Mission versus all of the Mini Kings or whatever Survivor Series match, like -5. Like I'd probably give it 3.5 because I'm into stuff like that, right? But this was terrible, and it was terrible because, or the match itself was overbooked. The angle actually made sense to show Horace in the beginning getting hit. Horace comes out in the end. But the music between the notes was just so bad, man. And I don't know if it's because Warrior was away for so long. I don't know if they missed on the nostalgia. Well, I know they missed on the nostalgia. Certainly not having Pat Patterson there for a couple of weeks to help you run through your match hurt. And so, yeah, brother, if we're going two, it's getting both of them. And if I got extra hands, this is a 4 thumbs downer for me, man. And it's a shame because there's things that make me laugh, but this one doesn't have any redeeming qualities in it. What do you say?
Yeah, I'm gonna say 2 thumbs down on this one. It is just, but it's like 2 thumbs down in a good way.
Yeah, I would treat this like saw it once, don't need to see it again. I'm good.
But you've seen it 70 times.
Right. Oh yeah, I do. That I've seen it. That's the bad thing is I have seen it over and over again.
Let us know if you think this is the worst match you've ever seen in the comments below. And make sure while you're here to subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out, helps us grow. And when you subscribe, it helps us make better content for you. So with that, I am Johnny Bake Show.
I'm Teddy Mongoose.
And we just called it In the Ring.